you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Momo. Happy birthday to you. Today is exactly 1 month of implementation of Momo. What's that done to your life? We will be having guests from Ghana Revenue Authority and the Momo Operators Association to be here to talk about Momo 1 month of its implementation. What's that? What's the impact been like for you and for the operators and for GRA? 1 month of Momo. Is it Momo? It's E-Levy.
Momo is my conversation guy. Have you been sending Momo lately?
Happy birthday, dear E-Levy. Happy birthday to you. But it has something to do with Momo.
Well, it does, yes. So, guys, Casey Oting later on is on the couch, and he's a Momo guy. So he's coming on with his new song, Momo, guys, and that's Casey Oting and Kaf.
Yeah.
This story about the lightning and superstition or not. I watched his mom. The guy's mom speak, and if you could see the look in her eyes, I mean, your son laying there, superstition or not, whatever, laying there hours, people taking videos and that kind. I mean,
really bad invasion of privacy. Seriously, you know, and cultural beliefs prevented him from being his body from being taken away so quickly.
But you see, the irony is, if cultural beliefs prevented his body from being picked up or whatever, so those who were standing there and taking videos and the pictures.
Well, it's about social media and the shares and the likes and the gram and all that stuff. Yeah, but in case you don't know, that's the story of the young man who was killed by a lightning strike. Not thunder. Thunder is the God playing music on his drums. It's the lightning that's the electricity, which is the killer. If it hits you, you may go or get your organs damaged. Rest in peace, the young man who was killed by a lightning strike, and there are developments of that story. We'll get updates on that. Your message is 556-1034. It's just Val and I here, and Maltiti as well as Jay and Alan. Thelma is on a road break. We'll see her pretty soon one of these days. Yeah? Okay, so you stay tuned. This is GTV Breakfast. 1 month of E-Levy. Yes, with all the attendant issues. Yeah, I waited my song on Momo.
No.
Because it's coming from Momo.
So it's fine.
All right, okay, cool.
You said Momo this morning. You said Momo.
We're going to say Momo. All right, and the Momo number is
055-556-1034. That's our WhatsApp number. No, Momo, don't mind Cap, guys.
All right, the news is coming up next. 7 o'clock, you've got the sports news. 7:20.
At 6 a.m. we're here to update on all that's happening in Ghana and around the world. You can watch us across the globe on DSTV channel 278. You can take us to work on your phones at the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation on Facebook. I am Maltiti Sanga. Big stories that are making headlines this morning. We'll be looking at the aftermath of the lightning that struck 3 people. We apologize those due to technical hitches, but our stories that are making headlines this morning. Lightning that struck 3 people in Ho. We'll get some updates of the aftermath there. Also, we'll be looking at the aftermath of clashes in Zakoli in the northern region, and the minority is demanding a probe into the usage of the COVID funds to take it to the international front in Kenya. Let's start off with that unfortunate incident that happened in Ho, where rites have finally been performed to enable family of the coconut seller who was struck by thunder and lightning on Monday convey the body for burial. This follows a green light given by the Nugokpo Shrine for the rites to perform for the family of the deceased to take ownership of the body for burial. The rites attracted a gathering who wanted to catch a glimpse of the spectacle. On the phone, we have Jones Lima, who is a Volta regional correspondent. We spoke to him yesterday about how the whole thing happened, and we're getting some updates from him about the rites that have been performed and the burial. Jones, good morning.
Good morning.
Right. After we spoke to you barely 24 hours ago, what has happened? What is the situation? We're hearing that some rites were performed for the burial because there's this contention about spirituality or the sciences.
Yes, so as you rightly said in your story in the intro, yesterday at around the same time the incident happened on Monday, around 4:15, 4:30 thereabouts. Rites were performed on the body to enable the family of the 17-year-old boy who was struck dead by thunder on Monday to be able to carry home the body for burial. So that is what actually happened. From what I gathered yesterday, they were able to do the rite after permission was given to the family for the said rite to be performed by a powerful shrine in this region, popularly called the Nogogo Shrine. And call it superstition. But then, as I said earlier, the same time the rites were being performed, again, it rained the same time, and people who were, had gathered to catch what was happening, some of them started running away, thinking that probably what happened on Monday could happen again. So that was what happened or transpired yesterday.
Right. The videos we are watching on our screens, we can see a mother who is looking very destitute, who seems very, very sad about what happened to her son, a senior high school young man. How is the family faring in this situation?
Yeah, so the family is very, very much disturbed. At a point, we, the media who were present, wanted to solicit some more information, but then we were prevailed upon to respect the sensitivity of the family involved. So then we had to cut short our interview sessions with the woman. The mother of the boy, Rejoice Powell, she was almost in tears while talking to some of us yesterday.
Right. When it happened, did you get any information from the electricity company of Ghana, the authorities who are into the sciences, whether it's electricity, the meteorological agency, about how they should come around and then see to it that the body is taken from there? Because, I mean, there's contention whether it's the sciences or is spiritual. So aside from calling authorities in the spiritual realm to come and perform the rites, were there any efforts to get people in electricity? Because it happened by the ECG or in front of the ECG office, right?
Yes, it did happen in front of the ECG office. And as told in the earlier stories, I mean, the manner in which the whole thing happened put fears in the authorities that you, mentioned earlier. The incident happened to 3 people, 2 survived and were carried to the hospital by the ambulance services. But then the same authority who should have been able to carry the dead body to the appropriate place as environmental and sanitation issues also did not do that because of the fear of
spirituality being involved, right?
Yeah. So people were afraid to touch the body, and then in the final analysis, after the permission given from the Hoko, the shrine involved, anticipated to be involved. When the green light was given, the family thought that the help of an elderly man from Adaklu, a community near Ho, to come and then perform the rite. The rites were not performed by the the Gogo Shrine or people from the shrine, as earlier on anticipated. It was performed by a different man from the community near the whole township.
Okay. This beggars the question about the other two who are still in the hospital. How are they faring? Are there going to be any rites performed, since there's suspicion that it was due to something spiritual that the lightning struck them?
Yes, so yesterday, whilst the exercise was ongoing, one of the survivors, a female student, was brought for some of the rites, issues to be performed on her. We wanted to talk to her, but then the elderly man who was performing the rite stopped the media from even some of the footages. We were not allowed to shoot some of the footages, so we were prevailed upon not to record all the rites that were performed.
Right. Thank you so much, John Salima. We'll come to you for updates, especially about the two who are in hospital and have been taken through some of the rites as well in this whole issue of whether it's spirituality or science. There will be an extensive conversation about that when Kafui Day sits at the table. But Jones and Lima is our Volta regional correspondent. He was speaking to us from Ho about lightning that struck three people some days ago in the Volta region. Let's move on now. And about 2 months ago, unidentified gunmen stormed the Zakwali community in the Yendi municipality and shot dead 8 persons. Many houses were razed by fire in the process, and food and clothing were also destroyed. Many households were also left without their breadwinners. The incident attracted widespread condemnation across the country, while some, including government officials, visited the community to assess the extent of destruction. The people have, however, been left to their fate with no proper shelter, food and clothing. Our Northern Regional correspondent Mutala Isa visited the community and has this report.
Our brother here and another man I will be showing you shortly are the only men left in this community. The attack has left behind 20 widows, and the number of children, you can see them here, and their mothers. Most of these women you see here do not have husbands. There are young children here who are all exposed as a result. This is the second man out of the 2 men left in this community. As you can see, our father here can barely do anything for a livelihood. In terms of housing, this is what they have. I am told that 53 people live in these 3 tents here. So that is 1 tent. I'll show you shortly what the inside look like. This is the second one, and this is the third one. This whole area smells of desperation. As you can see, I am told that many a times this is how the old ladies spend their time. There's serious psychological trauma going on among these people. Like, everything is inside here. Food, I can see a sponge and a sponge dish, some ingredients for cooking. I wonder how many people this small tent can contain. But it is even more challenging because the rainy season has just begun and life would get more desperate for the people. Yesterday, the Catholic Relief Services came here and presented some food items to the people.
These people here are left without anything. At all, they could get support. Accommodation should be one of the paramount things they should get first. And they are well accommodated. I think once they are traumatized, that will ease their trauma for small.
Beyond food and shelter, these people need also psychological rehabilitation. I've seen some of them. I'm told that they spend most of their time sitting under these trees. And about 20 widows with so many children, only 2 men, one of them feeble, who can barely do anything. There is also a poor sanitation situation. There is neither a urinal nor toilet within this community. And so these people, they need urgent attention. It appears that Ghana has suddenly forgotten about them. There's the need for us, for the entire public, to rally and support these people and help them regain their livelihoods and their lives back. For GBC News.
Coming back from the North, let's look at politics now. The minority caucus in Parliament is demanding that the finance minister appear before the House and account for all funds spent irrespective of COVID-19. Addressing the media on Tuesday, the minority leader, Mr. Haruna Idrisu, called on President Kafui to initiate a probe into the COVID-19 spending.
As I indicated, we are vindicated because we now can understand why a motion by the minority in Parliament to prove COVID by an institution which should be the most fundamental institution and guardian of the public purse, Parliament, will dismiss the motion even at birth by actors of the new patriotic political administration. So as much as we feel vindicated, we are further scandalized, and we are calling on President Nana Addo Dankwa and reminding him that the 1992 Constitution is premised on probity and accountability, and that if he has any respect for the values of integrity, let him probe COVID and COVID spending across the country. When Excellency John Dramani Mahama addressed some group in the United States barely a month ago and stated that COVID resources were used to prosecute the 2020 elections, little did he know that Felicia Tete will come and affirm Excellency John Dramani Mahama stated. At least Felicia doesn't work for the NDC. She works for the new Patriotic Party. We will renew our position. We will refile the motion for a probe. But to the Ghanaian public, these are those who parade that they care and they are protectors of the public purse.
Let's still stay in Parliament, where the majority leader, Mr. Osei Mensah Bonsu, says the statements that made rounds that he had informed the public that the Finance Ministry had released Parliament's outstanding allocation was a miscommunication. He says he never contradicted what the Speaker had earlier said on the issue. The majority leader made this known during the sitting on Tuesday.
The Director of Finance came to me to discuss the status of our financing in the House. In their presence, I called the Controller and Accountant General that it appeared the situation was dire. And he responded that he thought that some releases had come to this House. So he asked us to stay on the phone, cross-checked, and then came to the determination that it appeared there was a hitch. There had been a hitch. I insisted that it should happen by the close of day. Early the following morning, he told me that the 25 million had been released to Parliament. Thursday, and I called the Clerk to Parliament and the Director of Finance, who confirmed that yes, indeed, that had happened. Thursday, I was not in the chamber. I went to Kumasi. I had to go to Kumasi. It appears to me that the Speaker was not aware that that amount had come to Parliament. So on Thursday, he made a statement. Friday morning, then I had a radio, one of these radio presenters called me in the morning that the Speaker had made this statement. And my reaction was that, oh, it's not entirely the case, and that some amounts have been released to Parliament, and that we may have to have a meeting with the Finance Minister, the Controller and Accountant General, so that we have regular releases. Apparently, some communication was made to the Speaker that in public space I had contradicted him and so on. I considered it unfortunate. However, it was born out of a communication mix-up. And I did not go out there to contradict the Speaker. I spoke to what I knew. Thank the majority leader for the information. He sought to clarify the situation because the information did not only remain in the House, it also got to the public.
Let's do some politics now. The National Democratic Party, NDP, says it's looking forward to the 2024 elections as a turning point with its dominance in governance. This was announced by the founder of the party and the former First Lady, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, at a media briefing held in Accra.
If you are here today, I want you to bring ideas also on ways that we can strengthen our national security architecture by making everybody in the country alert to our own personal security and to the security of the people around us. Comrades, by dint of hard work, I am sure that we shall surely overcome all our difficulties and our challenges. And NDP looks forward to the 2024 elections as a turning point with our dominance in governance.
Let's look at health now. The Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Franklin Asiedu-Bekoy, says there are no confirmed cases of monkeypox in the country. He explained that samples of suspected cases tested by the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research have all proven negative. Dr. Asiedu-Bekoy, however, warned patients and the public should remain on high alert for any suspected case. A report by Sarah Ofori.
The recent case of monkeypox was reported in non-endemic countries. Although Ghana is listed among African countries listed by the WHO as an endemic country, so far no case has been confirmed.
As I speak now, we have not confirmed any monkeypox in Ghana. Noguchi is now tested. KCCR is yet to fully test. Our reference lab is yet to fully test. So we've sent a few samples to Noguchi that has come out all as negative.
Samples tested were for 6 suspected cases. Dr. Asiedu-Bekoy says soon the KCCR and other reference laboratories across the country will be equipped to test samples for monkeypox. He enumerated some signs and symptoms.
You will have a fever that will be in excess of 38 degrees Celsius. You may have the typical rash that they talk about. So you may have the rashes in the face and parts of the body. The distinguishing feature of monkeypox versus chickenpox is that you may have swollen lymph nodes, which is not typical of chickenpox. So that's the main sign that you can use to distinguish.
Unlike COVID-19, which can be transmitted by asymptomatic cases, monkeypox is a zoonotic infection only transmissible in symptomatic cases.
So monkeypox is actually what we call a zoonotic disease. So the disease originally comes from an animal to man, and then it can come from man to man. So we have the monkeypox virus that may be in an animal, and so when you get into contact with that animal by way of trying to eat or food, or when you get into contact with the secretions or blood of the animal, then you can get infected. So that's the transmission from animal to man. Likewise, when an individual is also infected, they get into contact with that individual or into contact with the beddings or clothing of that individual, then you can also get it.
He entreated the public to be on high alert and report any suspected case. Sarah Ofori, GBC News, Accra.
Let's go to the foreign front, where the risk of famine in Ethiopia, Kenya and Somalia keeps getting worse, with the prospects of another bad rainy season, the 5th in a row. Several UN agencies have warned. There have been several warnings by the United Nations on this issue. Now, Somalia and parts of Kenya and Ethiopia have been hit by a weather phenomenon unseen for at least 40 years. At a session of rainy seasons with low rainfall, said a statement issued by the UN agencies and other partners involved in the humanitarian action. Let's still stay on the international front and let's go to Malawi now, where state prosecutors in Malawi have asked the High Court in the capital, Blantyre, to give life sentences to 12 people, including a Catholic priest, in connection with the murder of MacDonald Masambuka, a man with albinism killed in 2018. 5 out of the 12 defendants were found guilty of killing 22-year-old MacDonald Masambuka during a crime spree that resulted in more than 40 murders and 145 assaults on people with the condition. The defense wants jail terms not exceeding 10 years. A Catholic priest, Masambuka's brother, a policeman, and a hospital employee were found guilty of involvement in selling human body parts. It's time for us to get our weather update, and our favorite forecaster is on the phone lines. Felicity Ahafianyo. She joins us this morning to tell us how the weather will be. Good morning, Felicity.
Good morning, Motiti.
I hope you're well.
Yes, I'm very, very well. What about you?
I am blessed.
How
is the weather going to be today?
Yes, today, this morning, we had a weak rainstorm that engulfed the eastern flank of the country, stretching from the north down to parts of the coastal belt. It's going to induce cloudiness over the Volta region, parts of eastern, and then it will produce light rain this morning. But our brethren over the northern region, Tamale, Yendi area, and then the upper east region, they will have a thunderstorm with rain this morning. Then later in the day, it's going to reactivate over the western flank. So those over Ashanti, those over Bono, part of western north, and then Ahafo will also have another showers this evening. That's late afternoon into the evening hours of today. Bole and then Wa will also have a 40% chance of rain today. Temperatures are going to be generally mild over the entire country, 35 for the north, 31 for Greater Accra and the western region, 33 for the middle portion. So the state of the sea is still expected to remain rough. So fisher folks that may want to go out for fishing still need to do it with caution. And then our brethren over the Volta Lake too, as the storms are moving in, as they've been doing, they should keep calling the forecast office on the landline that we keep giving out, the 0302-777-172, and ask to speak with the duty forecaster. Then they will tell them whether the storm will exit or the place is okay for them to go out for fishing.
Great. Before you take leave of us, there's been a lot of talk and debate about whether the lightning that struck the 3 people in Ho was spiritual or scientific. How do we prevent ourselves from being struck by lightning?
Thank you so much for this question. Yes, we have scientific proof that we have a lightning and a thunderstrike that kills people, not that it can. It kills people. Over America, every year they record 50 people dead in terms of thunder and lightning strike, and there are hundreds of them being injured as a result of the strike. So, and Ghana too, I'm not sure this is going to be the first time it has ever happened before. When I was in around mid-90s, 94 through to 98, I can't really remember the exact year. Similar thing also happened around when we are going to the teaching hospital, formerly Trafalgar. Similar thing happened. Chastif was going to rain, and then before you know it, thunderstruck the person, and then they have this myth around where a priest came in to perform some rituals before the body was lifted. Yes, we have electrons, that's the negative, and then the positive charges in the thunder clouds that we normally call cumulonimbus cloud. They produce these negative and negative charges, and then as a result of downdraft and updraft occurrences within the clouds, we have these icy types of things that normally strikes out of it. So if you are in each path, it's likely it will hit you. And then it is advisable that when it is raining and the thunder is severe, there are certain things you should not do. For instance, you should not be under a tall tree or a tall structure. You should not be in the open. And then you should not even be connected to electrical things. So if you are in the room, you're supposed to off your electrical gadgets. If you are by mirror, which is a reflector, it can really reflect or attract this electrons to even have a negative impact on you. So then, yes.
Thank you, Felicia Hafianyo, for all that education about how to prevent ourselves from being struck by lightning. As she said, is a global phenomenon. It happens all over the world. And that's it for GTV Breakfast News at 6 a.m. I am multi-side Sadiq. Val is standing by for the next segment, but we'll take a break, and then when we come back, GTV Breakfast continues. Stay with us.
Today he has been extra sweet, and the way he looks at me.
I have done everything by the book. It's on. Hey, but I have to get some condoms, Charlie.
Using condoms will protect you and your partner from HIV, STIs, and unplanned pregnancy. Condoms are an effective way for protection against HIV infection. Don't take risks. Use a condom every time. Always come prepared.
This advert is brought to you by the Ghana AIDS Commission and Ghana Health Service.
Ago, good people of Ghana, the time has come once again as we plant 20 million tree seedlings on 10th June across the country.
Trees are the life force of the earth.
For support of Green Ghana.
Planting a tree every day keeps the environment safe.
This campaign is proudly brought to you by the Government of Ghana under the auspices of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, Forestry Commission, with support from
Are you ready?
Green Ghana. Let's go plant.
Maninye Ajanawan. Coronavirus nyala dorshel den shirib jene ni yal mangle to demine nam kar ben ni yal mangle ma la bal wiya ne roku gana mulchi pam tang banwane hal ni sambam polo to ama la bal yasel den le ben yala gana nam yina na coronavirus ma tim be de sharga ka ne to banga mang chibla la sharga ma ka guwa manga kace corona bande den nang man yasem pam Dominisa Hashatin Jiongo, in Yella Winchiwe, coronavirus sharga. Gana millions Yella ban yinan to chibla coronavirus shargmoma. Karaka Gadama Shelley. Pangam pam Kaga Bodelire, in chang to chip coronavirus shargmoma. Bokalesia Gule, Dinang Kayayum Kinanu, Dizang Chenza, Anyala Wun to Chible. Amichan Nati Chiwe, Kaji a national ID card shell Ankumbale. In chang kapti chibale karbuwa ka ta ka chenche corona dorwel ngoma da babu tizayino kamza ha tabayi kan ala tubula delire in chang ti chibu coronavirus shargo pangmiye ma ki chang ti chible kar chele ka samban de vrla yuhanya ka tabuto chible ntata man ka buka chenche dorwel ngo tina ko pang mata ka tanangna te nya pobrese ka pang te manga ka ta para te nuhe ni chibo dembe yuale non ko shelle den zora kana ko pangta mga katanang lalgam na taba dito nang karnyala tebela langushi bom gubta mga bom gubti asamna doam pangma manka chang anti chibu coronavirus sharga pum.
Hello, good morning. Again, welcome to GTV Breakfast. And we're streaming live on Facebook as the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. Follow us online using the hashtag GTV Breakfast, and you find us everywhere. In the trends on Twitter, top on the trends, Dampare is trending, Delay is trending. On God is trending in music circles. You know why these are trending. Kindly let us know using our WhatsApp number 05555610034. We're going to have a discussion about Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's, we know vaguely that Parkinson's, when you see people with a tremor or a tremble in their hand, you say, oh, he has Parkinson's or she has Parkinson's. We're going to find out what causes Parkinson's. Does it have a cure? And if it does not have a cure, how do you live with it? And then also the symptoms to look out for. And joining me in studio, I have Dr. Vida Obisi. She's a specialist physician, neurologist with the Kafui Teaching Hospital, Kafui, and she's also the founder of Danso Parkinson Disease Foundation, and also Guy Deacon. Guy Deacon is someone who has been living with Parkinson's since 2011, and Guy is on an amazing journey driving through Africa to raise awareness. And so yeah, they're at the table today. We're going to have this conversation about Parkinson's and all to know about Parkinson's. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Right, Vida, I usually do this where I speak to the ladies first, but this time I'm going to be speaking with Guy. Guy, when did you first notice that you had Parkinson's? How did it begin for you?
The symptoms creep up on you very slowly and you don't notice them to begin with, and it can be some time before you realize there's something wrong and you need to go and get help. And I was working in the Congo with the UN, and I came back and I was very run down, and I thought I was just tired, but in fact people who knew me well said there is a problem, and I went to the doctor and he said very quickly I had Parkinson's disease. So it was about 11 years ago when I was still in the army.
Wow. And the signs just crept up on you. You didn't feel anything, nothing. You just felt tired.
I felt things. My hands weren't quite doing what they should do.
Okay.
I don't tremble like most people, but little things were not quite right. My leg wouldn't move properly. My pockets didn't work. My hands couldn't pick up, and I knew things weren't quite right. But I never guessed it was Parkinson's disease. And as I say, it took a doctor to turn around and say you have a problem, and a neurologist to turn around and say you've got Parkinson's. But despite that, I just took the tablets and went back to work, carried on working.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, so what inspired? April 11 is World Parkinson's Day, and you started a journey where you're driving through African countries into raising awareness.
I've spent a lot of time in Africa in the past, and I love it. And a long time ago, in 1987, I was traveling across Sahara, and I came across an American company in a camper van, and they were traveling across the Sahara, and I thought that's what I want to do when I retire. So I retired in 2019, and I decided many years ago, I would undertake this trip to carry all the way down from the very north of Africa to Cape Town. And I set off in November and got as far as Sierra Leone before COVID struck. And I was trying to prove to two things. First of all, just because you've got Parkinson's, which I had at the time, you can still live your dream and do what you want to do if you want to do it badly enough. And it was possible to carry on all the way around Sierra Leone. I then had to go home because of COVID, and I then came back again ready for April 11th to undertake the remainder of the journey from here down to Cape Town. But this time I'd met people who deal with Parkinson's in Africa, and I understood the story. There was a very big story that I didn't know much about. I knew about the physical aspects in England, and I knew about the mental aspects in England, which is not much talked about. And I was determined to prove to people in England what you can do if you want to badly enough, and to be honest with people as well and say what I couldn't do. But since I arrived the second time round, I've discovered a range of people who know the situation much more closely than I do. People like Dr. Vida.
Vida, obviously, Dr. Vida.
Who can talk in much more detail about what's going on here.
Right. Doc, what is Parkinson's disease?
So, Parkinson's disease is a movement disorder. It's a neurodegenerative disease, so it affects the brain. And it makes you slow. We call bradykinesia. You can have tremor. Your muscles become stiff because you can't move. And then for some patients who are advanced, their posture becomes unstable. So there's a part of the brain that controls movement, which is the basal ganglia. We call the basal ganglia, big term. So what it does is that it needs a chemical called dopamine to help you to move. And in Parkinson's disease, what we know is that the neurons that secrete this dopamine for you to be able to move, for some reason, die off. And so are not able to give you enough dopamine in your brain for you to move. And it also affects your emotions and all sorts of things. Parkinson's disease has motor and non-motor symptoms. When I say that, it means it has movement problems, like what we know. You have a tremor in your hand, so if you try to bath, try to drink water, do anything with your hands, it's difficult. It usually starts in one part of your arm. So that's why people confuse it with stroke.
Okay, which arm does it usually start? It
affects people differently.
Okay.
And that's the difficulty with Parkinson's. All patients have different experiences. So somebody may not, like Guy doesn't have a lot of stiffness. He has a lot of stiffness, but not tremor. But some people have tremor. And the movement problems start off with even your handwriting. So most people will say, well, my handwriting started becoming smaller and smaller. That's when I noticed there was something wrong. And then it progresses to actually not being able to move. Some of the non-motor symptoms, we believe, start earlier on. So if you chart your life maybe up to 10 years back, you know these people had problems with sleep, had problems with anxiety, constipation, had problems having terrible sleeps, not being able to get out of bed. But it's very common to other conditions. So you wouldn't think it's Parkinson's until you have the actual motor problems that are associated with the disease.
Okay, so Doc, which symptoms are most common here in Africa? Which of the symptoms are most common?
So in Africa, we tend to see a lot more of the tremor predominant Parkinson's disease. But then again, as I said, Parkinson's disease affects everybody differently. So we have a whole spectrum of patients and you progress differently as a patient. So we have patients that for 5 years don't really progress much. But there are some people within 2 years, they become advanced and can barely move and depend on people for everything that they do. Bathing, eating, moving around. And it's a very horrible thing to have because you don't want to get out. People think you are drunk when you get into the banks. You want to sign and somebody will say you are drunk and you want to cross a road and you freeze because you can't move. And they'll think everybody will be honking at you. And so, yes, I mean, mentally they face a lot of stigma and a lot of anxiety. So they don't tend to want to be in public. And you know, Ghana, people don't want the disease to be associated with their families.
Yeah, it's some sort of stigma.
Yeah.
But then that's why people like Guy and yourself are raising awareness.
Yes.
Is it genetic?
So what we know about Parkinson's disease is that more than 77% is sporadic, meaning we don't know what starts it. All we know is something happens that damages those neurons or nerve cells. But a portion of it is genetic, and we see those patients mainly earlier on. They tend to present earlier on. So usually the age range for Parkinson's is above 60. So it's in the population of people who are already aged. That's why people associate the slowness to aging as opposed to Parkinson's. But we now see a lot of patients below 50 years in Ghana now. And that's a worrying trend. So we need to find out what really causes it. Is it what's in our environment puts us at risk? Is it exposure to toxins, exposure to a lot of chemicals we use in our agricultural industry? And that's what we need to find out. And of course, yes, we need to also know the genetics of Parkinson's. And that's why our foundation is partnering with Parkinson's Africa, is partnering with an organization known as IPDGC. They are into genetics. So we are trying to find out what about Ghanaians put us at risk of Parkinson's as opposed to somebody in the US or as opposed to somebody in the UK.
Right. And then is there a cure for Parkinson's?
No, please.
No.
Yes, but we have treatment, symptomatic treatment. So all the patients go through in terms of movements, there's medication for that. When they become anxious, there's medication for that. So actually, managing patients with Parkinson's is a multidisciplinary approach. You need a lot of people to manage one single patient. You need a nutritionist to help them in terms of their feeding. You need a nurse to help them. You need a pharmacist to help them in their medication. You need doctors. You need occupational therapists, because most of these people are in employment and they need to adjust, and their workplace need to adjust to how they work. And so it's a teamwork, which we don't have. We have, yes, a couple of team members helping with their care, but as opposed to outside the country where people are trained as Parkinson's nurses or Parkinson's pharmacists, we don't have that team yet, and we're working towards that.
Right. Doc, is there a form of Parkinson's that makes the patients immobile?
So
completely immobile? So
Parkinson's makes you actually immobile. You cannot move. So with medication, you're able to move. But as I said, it's a progressive neurological disease, so it will progress. And when it becomes advanced, you may be more reliant on people to move or to engage in activities of daily living.
Right. Is it expensive?
Yes.
To live with Parkinson's? Just hearing you say you have a team, you have to have a team of doctors, nutritionists, and what? How expensive is it to live with Parkinson's, especially here in our part of the world?
In our part of the world, I said it affects most people about 60 years. Okay. And so these patients already have hypertension, chronic illnesses like diabetes and the rest to grapple with. And we don't have their medication on insurance and the national health insurance. So they will have to now add on their medications, and it's expensive. And so adding on the medication is difficult for these patients. And previously, it was even difficult to have access to the medication. And now we have companies like Roche Ghana Limited bringing in Madopa and making it more accessible to the patient. So it's easier now to get access to the drugs, but it's still costly. And that's one of the goals of the foundation, to push for the medications to be put on the National Health Insurance Scheme.
So on an average in a week, say, how costly is it? Looking at figures.
Okay, so it's difficult to put amounts to it because different patients take different doses. And a mild patient will spend roughly around 500 cedis on just the Parkinson's disease medication. But then again, we have patients taking the medications 4 times a day, 6 times a day, and they would spend double that. And mind you, when you look at the economic effects of the disease, you are not looking just in terms of medication. These patients cannot work. And if they are the breadwinners, the family depends on them. And so they cannot work. And so the economic burden on the family, how they have to take care of their families, their children, their education, it's bigger than just the medication. And they having to always travel to where they can find medications and find treatment.
So does it mean that treatment for Parkinson's here in Ghana is not readily available in all medical facilities? Are there specialized ones to go to?
Yes, so for now, all the major hospitals have Parkinson's disease medications, and we've linked up with a lot of hospitals. We've, as a foundation, tried to train a lot of clinicians.
This is your foundation, the Nidaso Parkinson's Disease Foundation. Right.
So what we do is also try to train clinicians, doctors, nurses, pharmacists in the periphery, in the communities, so that they will be able to pick up. And once these cases are being picked up, we can then direct medication to those centers. Yes.
How often do you get people with Parkinson's walking in, or your team locating people with Parkinson's?
So, in Ghana, we have less than 10 neurologists. So even the ratio of neurologists to patients, it's woefully inadequate. And so we cannot handle all the patients. That's why we're doing a lot to train people in other regions. We've done our best to train at least half of the country. We are yet to go to the north. And so what we are doing, once we have people understanding the disease, being able to pick it up, Now we have to work more into the communities for the communities to understand how the symptoms show up so that they can send patients to the clinics. But for now, in all the major centers, they can be seen, and in all those hospitals that clinicians have been trained, we are confident that they can pick up the disease.
Right. Is there sort of food or vegetables that we ingest that might be aiding in getting Parkinson's?
So if you look at the risk factors worldwide, because we have a lot of data lacking in Africa and especially in Ghana, we've not done research to say these things are protective or these are damaging to us. But even in terms of vegetables, a lot of our farmers are spraying a lot of chemicals directly on these vegetables. So sometimes encouraging people to take vegetables is also a problem. If you are going to take it with a high dose, you know, just 5% kills the pest, and over 90% goes on the vegetables. And so that's also a worrying thing for us. That's why we started a research to build a registry. And once you build a registry, all these questions are asked, what you are exposed to. So in the next 3 to 5 years, hopefully, we'll be able to say which of these things are protective. But you know, the brain is a sensitive organ. Once your brain dies, everything that else doesn't work. And so anything that is good for the body or for the brain is sort of protective. So eating a balanced diet, eating more veggies, it's good generally for your body and for your brain. So we would encourage all those baseline things for brain health in general.
Right. Is there also a place, apart from the Anidaso Parkinson's Disease Foundation, where people who may suspect they have Parkinson's or have should go for care?
Yes, so not only the foundation, Kafui 37, as I said, anywhere that we have neurologists, we are available to see. What we are saying is just, we will present our numbers. We are online.
Yes.
Our number is 054 111 174. And so you can call us and we'll direct you to where we think closest to you, where you can get care. But I mean, most doctors, we've tried our very best to educate a lot of people. So now people can pick it up. Right. But in terms of getting specialized care, at least in Tamale, you can get it at 37, Konfanochi and Kolebu, and then in Cape Coast Regional Hospital too.
You can get it as well,
Yeah,
right?
you can get it.
Guy, so tell us about your journey, your drive through Africa. Which countries have you been to?
At this time, there's only really one route you can follow, and that is round the west coast of the Atlantic border. So I started in Morocco, into Western Sahara, Mauritania, and then Senegal, where I stayed for a while. Then Guinea-Bissau, and into Sierra Leone. So that was my first trip, and it was wonderful because I thoroughly enjoyed desert areas and I enjoyed the space and all that sort of thing.
Right. And in all of these countries, which people did you interact with? What were some of the activities you embarked on? Which people did you meet? What was the experience?
Because I travel alone, without anybody in the vehicle with me, I have to stop and spend a lot of time with the local people. And I've met some extraordinary people in every country actually. And I've been consistently amazed how friendly people are towards me as a traveller, and how they take me into their homes, they've fed me, they've given me shelter for the night, and they've always helped me if I've had a crisis. I've had a few problems along the way with the car, and always there have been people there to help.
But guys, is it safe for you to drive alone, travel alone? Is it safe?
I thought it was perfectly safe, and I don't feel physically threatened by anybody, because as long as you are sensible and you follow the route and advice of people, and you don't ask any of the wrong people the wrong questions, then you should be all right. But I'm always careful about where I go, and I take advice locally.
Okay. And so what's the message? What's the message about Parkinson's that you spread? What's the message that how do you talk to these people? How do you break through?
I don't tend to talk to people along the way. I stop in capital cities and try and get on, well, like I am now, meeting people who know about Parkinson's and joining them with them and explaining what I've been doing. And my message is that it is possible for somebody with Parkinson's, like I've got, to live their dream. It's more difficult, and during the journey, the challenges are being filmed so that we can see them all afterwards on television.
Right. What has been your biggest challenge so far?
The biggest challenge, to be honest, since I started the journey again, I've been staggered by how much worse my own Parkinson's is. and how much more difficult it is to do the simple jobs in life. And the big things are difficult anyway, but it's the really small things. It's the administration, it's the filling in a form, it's the just making a decision at the right time to go left or right on the road. It's all these little things which really pile up to become very, very difficult, and they can almost stop you functioning. And so what I do in those circumstances is to think very clearly, clear my mind, rest a bit if necessary, and then take everything bit by bit at a time, because doing too much at once becomes overwhelming and I can't carry on.
Right. In our part of the world, people tend to hide their diseases and other stuff because of stigma. Have you ever been stigmatized?
No, I haven't. But people don't tend to talk about Parkinson's. The reality of Parkinson's is two things. The physical side, which you've heard a bit about already, but for me, what people never talk about is the mental consequences of this and how dreadful you feel nearly all the time. And people are very kind to me always, and I feel unworthy of their attention and their care because I can't repay them. People look at me and as Valerie says, they think I'm drunk sometimes. When I'm trying to get money out of my pocket, I can't get money out of my pocket. When somebody buys me a cup of coffee, I can't give them the money very quickly. Every time you feel very small and very unworthy of the kindness people show you, and that for me has been the biggest lesson, is recognizing that the reality is deep inside the mind as to how you feel on a routine basis. Every single day, every single moment, it's on my mind. You know, how do I do this? How do I take the next step? How do I get into the car? How do I get my trousers on? How do I clean my teeth? How do I get ready for whatever I'm doing on that day? Every single thing you have to think about carefully, and that consumes huge effort, which means you're tired nearly all the time.
That's a lot. Doc, the team you mentioned, that every Parkinson's patient needs a team, does it include a psychologist?
Yes.
Somebody that has to help with mental health issues?
Yeah. We do have that. And so how the foundation works is that we have support groups under the foundation. So there's a support group in Accra, we have a support group in Kumasi. They meet every month. So you see other patients who have the disease and know you're not alone. We use that platform to talk to them a lot, and they come with the caregivers so that the caregivers understand how to help these patients go through this horrible journey. And we have the team available for them all the time when they come for meetings, and our phone numbers are on speed dials. Any time that you feel that you are overwhelmed of any sort mentally, we have a psychologist on call to talk to you. And that's why we are pushing for more of a speech therapist. You know, sometimes it's difficult for them to swallow. And this team effort, people to join us to, you know, when we have these teams in all the hospitals, it becomes easier as opposed to one place having all that care being given. And we hope in the near future, we'll be able to set up a proper call center where when you call and talk about your condition, we can link you to a psychologist or a nutritionist anywhere in Ghana, and you'll be sorted.
So most of the people that you've come across and people like Guy, how does it affect their families?
Yes, I have had a lot of, because I work in the foundation, I've even had patients and caregivers send me suicide notes ahead of time that they're contemplating it because life is difficult. And we've had to involve the police, we've had to involve a lot of people to counsel and help them. I've had to rush out of my house early in the morning to look for where they live to stop some of these things because of the environment we live in. And we have even educated and learned people who find it difficult to live with it because they are in denial. They tend to ask themselves, why did I get it? After, you know, being very useful with my brain, being very smart, and very active, why should I get it? We don't have answers. And so it's been a really terrible journey for most of them. And it humbles me because I knew about Parkinson's because my uncle had Parkinson's even before I entered the university. And that's when I decided that I would pursue this and make sure people like that are not marginalized. And so we are trying our very best to be there for these patients. But it's hard work and it takes a lot of effort and money to help these patients because sometimes it's about helping them financially. to go through a certain period in their life, and we've had to use our personal funds because we are not funded as a foundation.
The medication is not on the...
Yeah, so we do have individual donors. We do have donors like the WPP and then a foundation in Italy. Sometimes we get people, we're able to convince them to pay for some medication for these patients. So these patients get it for free. And we are grateful to these donors who've helped us along the way. But it's really difficult. And as a foundation, we need to do more. And it's really draining. You just need to experience one patient and your life is changed. Because we all have parents who are getting old by the day. We are now seeing young patients coming with the disease. And so we are...
How young?
We do have patients as young as 30. And we have, we couldn't meet her today, Omotola Thomas, all the way from the UK. She's head of Parkinson's Africa, and she started having symptoms at 29 years. Wow. And it took her 6 years to be diagnosed, and she's lived with it at least 11 years as well. And we are seeing a lot of patients below 50, and that's very worrying. So
and we still don't know what's causing it.
And yes, that's why we need stakeholders to be interested in these neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, because we all have an elderly person at home. We all have, we are all growing old by the day. And Ghana, our demographic, we have a lot of, we've now have better health services, so we are growing older. So we're going to see more of these diseases, and it's best for now we start looking into research and trying to get to the bottom of it.
Wow. Guy, how do we follow you on social media? I want to follow your journey, want to follow your story, and meet other people like you. You're on social media as well.
I have a LinkedIn site, I have a Facebook site, the details of which I'll give you afterwards. I have an Instagram account, and that is uploaded routinely with photographs and stories of the day.
Right, thank you, Guy. Guys, I'll be sharing Guy's social media handles with you, so we follow his story. We've been talking about Parkinson's disease, and April 11 is set aside for Parkinson's disease. Guys, research more about it. The only way to find out is when you the symptoms. The symptoms are barely there, guys. And having this conversation with us, we've had Dr. Vido Bisse. She's a specialist physician, neurologist with the Konfanoche Teaching Hospital and founder of Enidaso Parkinson's Disease Foundation, and also Guy Deacon, a man who has been living with Parkinson's disease since 2011. And this has been Health Check, guys. Coming up next is Multi Saida Sadiq, who is still bleeding Liverpool, coming up with Breakfast Sports.
Thank you for joining me on this side. It's your favorite segment of GTV Breakfast. If you're a sports fanatic, as we bring you updates in the world of sports, what's happening in football, basketball, tennis, and you name it. Today we'll be looking at Ghana and Madagascar, that crucial game that'll be coming up tonight. What are the preparations so far? We'll also be looking at Puma unveiling a new kit for the Black Stars ahead of the qualifiers of the AFCON 2023. Let's talk about what is trending on social media, making headlines. The Black Stars of Ghana. The Black Stars of Ghana will host Madagascar in their opening game of the AFCON 2023 qualifier at the Cape Coast Stadium this evening. Now, head coach Otuado and captain Andrea Yu have been speaking in an official press conference ahead of the game.
Like last time, maybe a little bit more because we have actually 4 games ahead. Yeah, it's a different game because we are, I think, yeah, you have to say we are the favorites. So it's a different game which demands different solutions. So yeah, but we are well prepared and everything's fine so far.
Captain, how is the preparation?
Good afternoon. As Coach said, everything is going on well. We've had a few days to train, so as players we're trying to stick to the plan, to the details, and just try and make sure that we start this qualifiers with 3 points at home.
Okay, police.
I know you know more about the weekend start. I guess are you guys ready for tomorrow?
Due to the climate and a lot of things, but yeah, I've played myself some matches in Africa, in Ghana, and the players as well. So it's not a new thing for us all. Yeah, and yeah, like I said, I think we are prepared. One more training to go today, and the boys look sharp. They look ready. Really good to see. You know, there are days where I think, when I see them train, like, I wish I would be young and could join them. But when I saw the training, it was hot, and I was thinking, okay, it's good that I'm off the pitch now, because the guys look really sharp and looking forward for the game.
It's true, it's another task again. We have been qualifying for the last editions of the AFCON, and the only thing we can expect is at the end of the 6th game that Ghana will be qualified. We need to start by tomorrow. We'll give everything that we have to get the 3 points. But we know it's going to be a very difficult game. There are no teams that we can underrate anymore, especially in our continent. So we need to prepare and not believe that it's just going to happen. It's going to be tough. And whatever it takes, we'll give everything to try and get the victory as soon as possible.
We're trying to get some updates, and we have our correspondent Kofi Sechi-Ama on the phone lines. He joins us all the way from Cape Coast. Let's get some details about the preparations so far. Hi, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Right. For me, I saw that the captain and the coach seemed very relaxed. What was the highlight of that press conference for you?
Well, definitely, you know, in sports, anytime that you are going to have such an international match, there's a need for them to meet the press.
Right.
To tell them what they have in stock, because at the end of the day, it is the public who are jeering and yearning that we qualify for the 2023 AFCON. You know, in November, we are also going to Qatar because we are going to play the World Cup. So and the enthusiasm is so high. So that was the essence of the press conference. And you know, as journalists or as media people, we will try to tease up certain issues regarding to the Black Stars, because we are the noses of the people, of the public. And so some of the questions emanated from even Thomas Party and then, Duncan, who were not part of the call-ups.
Yeah.
The coach, he believes that some of them were have injuries. And then he spoke to Duncan, and the belief is that he's not going to have time to play for Ghana this time round. But the coach and then the skipper, that is Andre Ayew, seems very confident. And according to Otto Addo, the camp is good. Training has started. People are doing their excellent work. Yesterday, you could have come to the Cape Coast Sports Stadium to see how the youth, especially the youth, trooped to the stadium to come and witness their stars.
So much enthusiasm, right?
Yes, hello?
Right. We can hear you, Kofi. Go ahead.
Yes, so that was the enthusiasm yesterday, even when they were training around 6:30 to 7. The people were still there, even some of them want to catch a glimpse of the day Ayew and then, the stars that we have. That is the thing that people need, because what happened in Kumasi during their leg with the Nigerians. This time around, Cape Coasters are ready, they are poised, and we know that this time around is not going to be a one-go project. They are going to increase their pace. Otto Addo sounds very confident, especially with the crop of players that he has now, with the call-ups of new people. Now that we even have about 2 local players, we also asked him, is it going to be a trend that this time round, because our local league, he has to improve. So once there is a call-up, this is a national team, but he believes that whether you're a local player whether you're a foreign-based player, the most important thing is delivery on the field. So once you have been part of the call-up, you have to come and show what you have. So that is for him the essence of the whole Black Star team. It is not about names. It is not about where you play for, but your pedigree in terms of football, wherever you find yourself.
Great. Did the Stars seem confident in the technical team? I mean, from the day you spoke at the press conference, maybe how they were training on the field of play yesterday.
Yes, you could see that all the technical people were at the stadium. You know, so they were all playing their roles perfectly. It seems as if there's something gelling within this technical bench with Otoadu in charge. So anytime he talks about the team, he also speaks highly of the technical team. So it tells us that indeed there's some kind of rapport between the lead, who is the coach, and then the technical team. So all things being equal, we are not hoping for anything less than maybe a 3-goal, because we spoke to some people who were ready that this time round in Cape Coast would do the magic. Black Stars would definitely beat Madagascar this evening at 7 p.m.
Before you take leave of us, we have the Madagascar team had a press conference as well. Can you just give us a sense of what happened in that press conference as well?
You know, these days you don't treat any team as underdogs.
Right.
Yes, definitely, because football has evolved. So when you think that you are a Black Star of Africa, you have won some competition in the 60s and in the 50s. This time around, that is not how it is done. Football is now a multi-faceted game. People have improved. Countries have improved over the years, and you can attest to that fact. So they are also confident that, indeed, they came to Ghana not to come and joke or not to come and just play, but to also come to come and have a win. But in all things, because we are rooting for our nation, for our Ghana, the pride of Africa, we hope that the Black Stars at the end of the day will be victorious in this match. But Madagascar is also poised, according to the coach, that definitely they are coming into the game. They are going all out to also win this match. But as we say, we are rooting for the Stars, and then let's hope what happens at the end of all the episode here at the Cape Coast Sports Stadium tonight. Here is the time.
Right. Thank you so much. Kofi Sechiama is our correspondent from Cape Coast. We're speaking to him live on phone all the way from the Central Regional Capital. He was just giving us a roundup of the press conference that happened yesterday when the Black Stars met the media, the technical team as well, and also the Madagascar side ahead of that crucial game tonight. Also, we'll be going to Qatar in November 2020. But for now, the AFCON 2023 qualifiers is what we are looking at on Zoom. Some of the Black Stars team, despite qualification to the World Cup, they've been struggling in performance, most especially in the goalkeeping departments. Now, Ghana qualified to the World Cup by virtue of the away goal rule after a goalless stalemate at home with the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and later drawing 1-1 with them in Abuja. We've been joined on Zoom by scout and youth coach Vincent Tabiu to discuss the chances of the Black Stars going into this game. Good morning, Vincent.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good, and you?
I am well. I can see the enthusiasm. We are all looking forward to that crucial game tonight. But let's begin with the technical team who have just had 2 games with the Black Stars side to qualify them to the World Cup. What level of expectation should we have of the technical men going into these qualifiers?
All right. I think the expectation is still to qualify, and we want to see the team. Everybody wants to see the team. How ready are we for the World Cup? As much as we are looking at the qualification, we are looking at, is the team ready for the biggest tournament in the world, that is the World Cup.
Great.
So what we are looking at now is to see whether we'll be able to win the game for the first time. Mind you, we qualified for the World Cup without winning a game. We just go, and it was equalized, and finally we qualified with our away goal rule. So the expectation from the supporters is to go to the stadium and see whether we can beat Madagascar, especially when we are playing Madagascar, which feel like a minor side or a minor side for the national team. So whatever the supporters are expecting today, and all of us to see a win. If it's massive, then it's going to give us that support throughout the campaign of the tournament. So we are looking at this looking at the next game and looking at the 4 Nation tournament in Japan.
Right. Well, some of the view, Vincent, if you're still on Zoom with us, some of the view that Madagascar will not pose so much threat to Ghana because they are not a strong side in football. Do you agree to this assertion?
No, I think I'll not agree 100%. We saw what they did in the last 2 Nations Cup and what they are trying to build up. Almost everything they're trying to build up, I think I've been part of their build-up process some time back, and I know what the country is trying to do. So when you know the background of the teams will tell you the future of the teams. So it is not a walkover team, yes, but between the 2 teams, we still have the strongest side as a football nation.
Right.
But you put that one aside because of the cross-pollination in terms of training, in terms of personnel, where you can employ personnel to build up your team. We don't need to look at it as a walkover team, but we need to keep our level headed up and make sure we go there to beat them and make sure we are able to qualify. But it shouldn't be a walkover game for us. Otherwise, we might be putting a lot of pressure on our players. So there's no walkover game. It is a game you must earn within the 90 minutes of play. You must put up the effort to earn it. But if you put the names together, I believe that we will be ahead in terms of names. Performance, we are not far from them.
Right. You work with local players in the Ghana Premier League, and just 2 local players are in Otuado's squad this time. Would you expect any of them to receive some playing time tonight?
I think yes, both of them can be starters of the game tonight, or they should be able to come in as subs. Like you said, we needed even more than 2. I have gone around the whole country. I've met most of the local players as my opponents. And we have equally good players like those who are coming from Europe. Maybe the only thing that cannot be guaranteed is maybe their medical background and how they are being fed here. But in terms of talent, they are not far from us.
Right.
So I expect to see more. So if one of them starts the game today, I'll be very glad and happy. Now we are doing the level of work we are putting in is good for us.
Great. I mean, judging from how what we saw in the AFCON, realized that he does a lot of good substitutes that gives the players some playing time. That puts together our goals for us. Thank you very much. Coach Vincent Abiu is a youth scout. He's a scout and a youth coach. Vincent Abiu, who just joined us on Zoom with those updates about what he expects will happen tonight, the technical team put together and the squad put together to meet Madagascar in that crucial game for the AFCON 2023 qualifiers. Let's move on, and meanwhile, a new jersey for the 2022 World Cup and the upcoming 2023 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers has been unveiled by Puma. The shirt was unveiled just a day before Ghana's first qualifier match against Madagascar at the Cape Coast Stadium. The shirt has a simple white design with the Ghanaian flag's colors on the cuffs. The jersey, which has a black star on the chest, has the same color as the AC Milan 2022-2023 home kit. However, the new home kit did not receive the usual warmth from Ghanaians as they took to the media, social media to run down the quality of the jersey. What do you think about the jersey? Send us your thoughts and comments on social media, the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. Are you enthused about it? Does it look beautiful or classy enough for you? Does it communicate our patriotism as a people who love football? But also, the game tonight will be live on GTV Sports Plus in HD. It will also be on GTV, Obonu TV with the Ghana commentary and Garden City TV with commentary. So we are across the country on these channels, GTV Sports Plus, which will be in HD quality, GTV, Ghana Television, and Oboni TV with Ghana commentary, and Garden City TV with Tree commentary. So it cuts across the divide of our population in various languages that we speak, and it will be live on GTV Sports Plus, as you can see the fly on your screen now. It will start off with a panel discussion at 6 p.m. GMT, after which there will be the game at 7 p.m. So our Steels panel, you know we have the best guys when it comes to analyzing football in Ghana. There will be a panel that will have that discussion just before the game kicks off at 7 p.m. And, well, we are not seeing so much noise about the game, but we are supporting the Black Stars through and through. We are red, gold, green, and our blood is red, gold, green. And we wish the Black